Some new video from our Chicago affiliate showing ICE has set up operations at courthouses and jails across the city and revealing some of the heated confrontations that have come with that as the Trump administration's most aggressive so-called immigration enforcer moves his operation from the West Coast to the Midwest. Correspondent Allie Bradley is live for us in downtown Chicago following it all. Allie, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, hey, Nicole. So sources actually confirmed to us that the commander that was from the LA team, him and some of that team, they're actually in Chicago right now. Now, we're talking about roughly 200 Border Patrol agents who have ascended on the city. But where are they? They're nowhere to be found because they're doing behind the scenes work, prep work, in order to find these targets, these people who DHS considers the worst of the worst. So that LA team, some of those members are here, and they're actually responsible. The Border Patrol team alone is responsible for about 1,800 of the 5,000 arrests that DHS was touting over the last few months in the LA area. Now, their commander is known as an outspoken leader who has been proud to carry out President Trump's mass deportation mission. This, as the governor here, condemns a federal presence, but encourages people to watch Bovino's social media pages, calling him a reality show wannabe. So we asked Bovino about the governor's comments. Here's what he had to say.
The governor, perhaps I'm living rent-free in the governor's head there, but when I look at Chicago, Governor Pritzker probably needs to maybe take a walk in his city, and I'm not talking about taking a walk down the Magnificent Mile. I'm not sure how much walking he's doing, but perhaps the governor would do better to talk to those inner city residents in his own city to see what they think about illegal immigration.
Okay, so we know who is conducting these operations right now. We also have a glimpse of who they're going after. DHS providing these arrest details of 13 criminal illegal immigrants, saying some of the most egregious offenders to date were arrested under Operation Midway Blitz on the 8th and 9th. That'd be Monday and Tuesday. Now, their crimes include strong-arm rape, criminal sexual abuse of a child, hit and run, domestic violence, forgery, DUI, possession of stolen property, robbery with a firearm, domestic battery causing bodily harm, assault, sexual assault, and vehicular burglary. Now, Nicole, those people on your screen there, those are exactly the individuals that Chief Bovino and those teams are going after and building those cases so that they can target the worst of the worst. Nicole.
All right, so seeing more ICE officers, Allie, also seeing more marches throughout the city. What are protesters saying about this shift in resources?
Yeah, a lot of protesters out here because, of course, DHS has surged a lot of these resources from LA to Chicago and from other states as well. We know that there are agents and officers from all across the country that are in this area, to include the FBI, DEA, and other agencies. Now, when it comes to the protesters, we spoke with several of them yesterday, and they actually say that they don't support the LA shift in resources to Chicago. Take a listen to what they had to say.
And it's not going to be as successful because Chicago is kind of sassy. Yeah, we're willing to put ourselves on the line.
I do not believe they should be here at all. I don't think the ICE agents that have been here before then should be here. They're taking people for their skin color and their language that they speak, and no due process, and it's completely wrong. We don't do that in this state. We shouldn't be doing it in this country either, and we don't support that.
So those protesters also saying that they will be out there marching and protesting every single day as long as those federal agents are down here. And those federal agents, Nicole, they could be down here through the entire months of September. And then we could also see that expand, like what we've seen in Washington, D.C., and also in operations in L.A. Nicole.
All right, Allie Bradley live for us here in Chicago. Allie, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.